Hello, I'm in the front yard of my house, and behind me, as you can see, are the lavender. Many plants and in full bloom at the moment. It is a time of year when many flowers are in bloom, and they are fantastic in bringing in pollinators, especially when there are lots of fruit trees and vegetables which are also flowering because of the time of the year. They are a really easy plant to grow, lavender. In fact, in my garden, I think that they thrive in neglect. I don't really look after them very much at all. I might give them, say, an application of sheep manure and some blood and bone, and that's really about it. They are quite a drought-tolerant plant, so I don't really water them very much at all, and they just thrive. And as you can see, they're in full bloom, lots of flowers, and in fact flower 9 months of the year. They live for about 10 years or so, at least in my garden anyway. And when they're about 6 or 7 years old, I usually take a cutting in winter, stick it in a pot, and then come spring they'll come back up. So they are that easy to propagate. There are many different varieties of lavender. I believe the variety that I have here is called the English lavender. It is a nice light purple color, and it is in fact made up of a lot of little flowerets like this. So it's not actually just one flower, but many different tiny flowers that make up the whole bloom. They are very attractive to insects. There is no scent, but it must obviously be giving up a scent that is attractive to bees. I see a lot of bees around this patch, and and then it goes on, like as I said earlier, it blooms for about 9 months of the year, so there is no shortage of flowers, and it is definitely the envy of the street. All my neighbors ask me, how do I manage to get them blooming for this long, and I always tell them, just make sure you cut the flowers often enough, and just make sure you don't water too much, because they really don't like a very moist atmosphere. They all kind of, at the moment they look really upright, but if there is a lot of rain, they all just kind of tumble sideways because they really don't like the wet at all. This variety is really good because the flower stems are very long, so you can cut them and put them in a vase, and they look really pretty. So I would highly recommend you to grow this, because they are drought tolerant, they're pretty, and they're very attractive to pollinators. Apart from the lavender, what I also have blooming in the garden is this beautiful Sydney rock orchid. And as the name suggests, it's native to the Sydney coastal area. And as you can see, these beautiful long flower stems here, made up of many little flowers that are very fragrant and sweet smelling, that permeates through the air. It is a very easy plant to look after, so completely suited to the Sydney climate. As you can see, many flower stems, and very easy to look after. What I have done here is to put it on top of a tree trunk, an old tree trunk, and just stuck it in the middle. It doesn't need a lot of nutrients at all, like a lot of orchids. It just pretty much looks after itself. It is in an area which sees about 2 to 3 hours of sun through the day, and that's about it. It is very attractive to pollinators, especially to our native bees. So this is another one of those flowers that is a great addition to the kitchen garden. So I have the lavender in my front yard, I have the Sydney rock orchid in my backyard. So between the two of them, all the pollinators are crossing the kitchen garden to go from one patch to another patch. So if you can get your hands on this orchid, it would be fantastic to grow in your garden.